Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English story. Nico was a young man living in the busy city of Riverdale. At 22 years old, he worked in a small office, spending his days staring at a computer screen. Every day felt the same: wake up, go to work, come home, and scroll through his phone until he fell asleep. Nico often felt trapped in a routine, like life was passing him by. He had dreams, big dreams. He wanted to travel, play music, and learn how to paint. But every time he thought about his dreams, a voice inside him said, "Not now. You're not ready yet." One Saturday afternoon, Nico decided to take a walk through the old part of the city. The streets were quiet, and small shops lined the sidewalks. He stopped in front of a thrift store with a sign that read, "Treasures of the Past." Curious, Nico stepped inside. The store was filled with books, clothes, and forgotten objects. Drawn to a shelf at the back, Nico spotted a small, brown leather journal. Its cover was scratched, and its pages looked old and yellowed. Something about it caught his attention. When he opened the journal, the first page read, "To whoever finds this journal, these are my thoughts and dreams. I hope they inspire you to live fully." Nico flipped to the next page and read a few lines. "I always wanted to see the ocean, but I kept putting it off. Now, I don't have the strength to travel. Don't wait like I did. Life won't wait for you." Another page said, "I wanted to play the piano, but I was too scared to try. I thought I wasn't good enough. Now, I'll never know if I could have succeeded." The journal was filled with regrets, dreams left unfulfilled, places never visited, and words left unsaid. Each page carried a message. Don't waste time. Chase your dreams before it's too late. On the last page, the writer had written, "If you're reading this, promise me one thing. Promise you will live your life without fear, without hesitation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now." Nico closed the journal, his heart pounding. He felt as though the writer was speaking directly to him. For years, Nico had been waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready. But what if the right time never came? What if he spent his whole life waiting? He bought the journal and took it home. That night, Nico couldn't stop thinking about the words in the journal. He thought about all the things he had dreamed of doing but never started. He hadn't touched his guitar in years. He had never traveled to the mountains like he always wanted. And he had never told his best friend, Marco, that he dreamed of being an artist. Nico grabbed a notebook and wrote a list of things he wanted to do. 1. Pick up the guitar again. 2. Paint a picture. 3. Visit the mountains. 4. Tell someone about my dreams. 5. Help others follow their dreams. It wasn't a big list, but it was a start. The next morning, Nico picked up his guitar from the corner of his room. It was dusty, and one of the strings was broken. He replaced the string and strummed softly. At first, his fingers felt clumsy, but soon, the music started to flow. He played for hours, and for the first time in years, he felt truly alive. Later that week, Nico bought a set of paints and a blank canvas. He hadn't painted since he was a teenager, and he was nervous. What if the painting wasn't good? But he remembered the words in the journal. Don't waste time. Chase your dreams before it's too late. He dipped his brush into the paint and started. The strokes were uneven at first, but soon, the colors came together. By the end of the day, Nico had painted a bright, colorful picture of a sunrise. It wasn't perfect, but it didn't have to be. What mattered was that he had tried. Over the next few weeks, Nico kept working on his list. He saved money and planned a trip to the mountains, a place he had dreamed of visiting since he was a child. Standing at the top of the mountain, looking at the world below, Nico felt free from fear, free from hesitation. He also told his best friend, Marco, about his dream of being an artist. "That's amazing, Nico," Marco said. "You've always been creative. You should go for it." Marco's encouragement gave Nico the confidence to keep painting and playing music. One day, Nico decided he wanted to share the journal's message with others. He started a blog called Life Won't Wait. On the blog, he wrote about the journal, his journey, and the lessons he had learned. He encouraged others to stop waiting and start chasing their dreams. People from all over the world began reading Nico's blog. A woman in Italy wrote, "I've always wanted to open a small cafe. Your story gave me the courage to start." A teenager in Brazil said, "I wanted to learn how to skateboard, but I was scared of falling. After reading your blog, I decided to try." Nico's life was changing, and he was helping others change theirs too. Years later, Nico still had the brown leather journal. He kept it on his desk as a reminder of the day his life began to change. Whenever he felt unsure or afraid, he opened the journal and read the words, "Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now." And he smiled, because he knew he was living a life without regrets. Moral of the story: life is short, and time doesn't wait for anyone. Don't let fear or hesitation stop you from chasing your dreams. Take small steps, start now, and live a life you'll be proud of. Years had passed since Nico first discovered the dusty journal in the thrift store. His life was no longer the routine of work, sleep, and waiting for someday. Instead, it was filled with colors, music, and a growing sense of purpose. He had turned his small dreams into reality, inspiring others along the way. But life has a way of testing us when we least expect it. One afternoon, Nico received an email from his landlord. The building where he had his tiny studio was being sold, and Nico would have to move out in 3 months. The news hit him like a wave. This studio had been his sanctuary, the place where he rediscovered himself. Losing it felt like losing a piece of his soul. For days, Nico felt stuck. His old fears crept back in, whispering, "What if you can't find another place? What if you lose everything you've worked for?" He sat at his desk, staring at the brown leather journal. He hadn't opened it in a long time, but something inside told him to flip through its pages once more. On one page, the writer had written, "When life challenges you, don't stop. Keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. Growth happens outside your comfort zone." Those words reminded Nico of the person he had become, the person who didn't wait for life to change but took charge of it. He realized that losing his studio wasn't the end. It was an opportunity to start fresh. Nico began looking for a new place, but it wasn't easy. The rent in Riverdale had gone up, and many places were beyond his budget. Frustrated but determined, he expanded his search to nearby towns. That's when he found it. A small house with a garden, just an hour outside the city. The house wasn't perfect. The paint was peeling, and the garden was overgrown. But Nico saw potential. He imagined himself painting in the garden, strumming his guitar on the porch, and hosting art workshops for others. He decided to take a leap of faith and move in. The first few months were hard. The house needed repairs, and Nico spent most of his savings fixing the roof and plumbing. But he also found joy in the little things: planting flowers in the garden, painting the walls in bright colors, and watching the sunset from his porch. One day, while cleaning the attic, Nico found an old wooden box. Inside, there were letters, photographs, and a scrapbook. The scrapbook belonged to the house's previous owner, an elderly woman named Clara. In the scrapbook, Clara had written about her love for gardening and how she used to invite neighbors to paint and draw in the garden. She had even hosted small art fairs, where local artists displayed their work. Reading Clara's story gave Nico an idea. Nico decided to honor Clara's legacy by turning his garden into a community space for artists. He started by inviting a few friends over for an art day. They painted, laughed, and shared ideas. Word spread quickly, and soon, more people wanted to join. Nico named the space the Garden of Dreams. Every weekend, artists, musicians, and dreamers gathered there. They painted, played music, and supported each other's creative journeys. Nico also used his blog, Life Won't Wait, to share stories from the garden. He wrote about the people he met, like Anna, a retired teacher who rediscovered her love for painting, and Luis, a teenager who played the violin and dreamed of performing on stage. The garden became a place of hope and inspiration. It wasn't just about art. It was about living fully and encouraging others to do the same. One day, Nico received a letter from a young woman named Mia. She wrote, "Dear Nico, I've been following your blog for years. Your story gave me the courage to chase my dream of becoming a photographer. I would love to visit your garden and share my work with others." When Mia arrived, she brought a photo album filled with pictures of her travels. She told Nico how she had been afraid to follow her dream, but his blog had given her the push she needed. Mia's story reminded Nico of his own journey. He realized that the journal he had found years ago was more than just a book. It was a gift that kept giving. Its message had inspired him, and through him, it was inspiring others. As the years went by, the Garden of Dreams grew. Nico hosted workshops, art fairs, and even small concerts. People from all walks of life came to the garden to share their talents and connect with others. Nico also continued to write, but his blog wasn't just about his own journey anymore. It was about the community he had built and the stories of the people who had found their courage through art and connection. One day, Nico decided to create something special. He published a book called Life Won't Wait: Stories of Courage and Creativity. The book included stories from the garden, letters from readers, and, of course, excerpts from the brown leather journal that had started it all. The book became a bestseller, reaching people all over the world. Nico was invited to speak at events and share his story. But no matter how far he traveled, he always returned to the garden, the place where dreams grew. One evening, as Nico sat on the porch, watching the sunset, he thought about the writer of the journal. He wished he could thank them for their words, for the push they had given him when he needed it most. He opened the journal to the last page and read the words again. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now. Nico smiled. He had started, and now he was living a life filled with meaning, creativity, and connection. Moral of the story: life will always bring challenges, but those challenges can lead to new opportunities. When you stop waiting and start living, you not only change your own life but inspire others to do the same. Keep moving forward, even when it's hard, and you'll discover the beauty of living authentically. I'm so glad you spent this time with me. If you liked the story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Take care, and see you next time.